Okay, so what we're looking at is a food web that we made the other day in class. Now, if your class didn't use the shapes and you just drew in arrows, don't worry, they don't mean different things. We just wanted to use the shapes in this particular class period, but we couldn't use it for everything because some of the arrows needed to have a longer reach. And so we had to draw those in. And then, of course, we just used the red arrows down here at the bottom to show energy flowing to our decomposer once our organisms die. Now, what I've done is circled certain organisms with blue because I wanted to pick a food chain out of the food web. Because we've been focusing on the flow of energy through living systems. We've learned how to diagram them through a food chain, through a food web, and now there is another way that we can diagram the flow of energy in an ecosystem. And what this is called is an energy pyramid. Energy pyramid. And what we're going to do is draw a triangle that's going to represent our energy pyramid. Now, we're going to follow this flow of energy just like we do in a food chain. So the ultimate source of energy is our sun, and he's not really built into the energy pyramid. We just kind of know that he is out here shining down on the bottom of the pyramid. Okay, and so then our first organism then for the bottom would be our producer, which in this case would be the grasses. Now, because they're at the bottom, using the sun's energy to go through that process of photosynthesis to manufacture glucose, they are the primary producer. Now, our primary producer can also be referred to as an autotroph. Autotroph meaning it happens automatically. Okay, now from our producer, we can follow that flow of energy to the next organism that I've circled, and that will be the grasshopper. Our grasshopper is the first consumer we have here. Because he's our first consumer, he's called the primary consumer. Just like your first school ever was your primary school, that's what comes first in public school. So here, the first consumer is the primary consumer. And notice that he is an herbivore. Our primary consumer is typically an herbivore in an energy pyramid. Okay, so from our grasshopper, we can follow that flow of energy through the arrows, and it's going to the yellow-billed hornbill. So I'm going to shorten up his name so that I only have to write hornbill in this small space. And he's our second consumer, so we're going to call him the secondary consumer. Now, for an energy pyramid, your secondary consumer can be a carnivore or an omnivore. In this case, our hornbill eats both plants and animals, so he's an omnivore. Okay, we're going to follow that flow of energy to the next organism that I have circled, and that is our baboon. So our baboon, let me change colors here. Baboon is the third consumer, so it's going to be our tertiary consumer. Okay. Now, many energy pyramids stop with the tertiary consumer. He may be at the top of the energy pyramid. But here in our food web, his energy does flow to someone else, and this is the lion. And notice that the lion does not have predators he is giving his energy to. The only one receiving his energy is our decomposer, and he has to wait till the lion dies. So here, our lion would be called the apex predator. He is the top of the food chain because he has no one hunting him. Okay, now all of these organisms are consumers. And notice that we can call them by another name, just like we had autotroph here. We can have heterotroph. Here, hetero meaning other. They get their energy from another organism. All right, now we're going to discuss something very important in the next video, because you can see that the flow of energy flows up your pyramid. So we have to talk about a very important rule